Hello, welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, you know I've been working on my Delta slow speed drill press tapper modification. I'm trying to make a permanent tapping machine. But now, the last couple of weeks, I decided that I wanted to put a crank table to bring the table up and down a lot easier. I'm lazy. This is part of the crank table. This is where the table goes, hangs off of here, and this is where the actual crank goes right here. If you haven't been here, the problem that I had was this hole was about 1/8 of an inch, 3 millimeters bigger than the column on the Delta. So last week I made some sleeves that go in here. If I put it in straight, it would have went in a lot easier. But now I have to fasten them to here. There's one here and there's another one on the bottom. So what I need to do is put some tapped holes in here. I decided to go with 4 holes. One here, 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 and here. That's like, how could I say it? That's 45 degrees from the table. I need to put this in the mill to drill and tap these, but I have a problem with lining this up. So what I was going to do is, this is the bearing surface that the table sits on. I wanted to put my 1, 2, 3 block so I can indicate it straight with the ways on my mill. The only way I can do that is bolt that on. But this surface here, it's raised, and I really don't know if this is square with anything. What I'm going to have to do is put a couple of risers, little shims on here to bring the 1, 2, 3 block out and away from this raised area. The risers, they are, let's see, let's measure them. This one is 233 4/10. This one is 233 4/10. Okay, so they're precise. I'm going to place this in here. I just want to hold it. And I'm going to place these risers on the table bearing surface. Put this bolt through here. Actually, I'm going to go the other way. Now place this on here. And they're just sitting on the little riser blocks. I don't need it very tight. It's on there. These blocks aren't moving. What I want to do is, I think I said it already, I want 4 holes in here. That's 45 degrees from this surface. Here, 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 here. I want to put this into the mill and drill and tap my holes. Then I'm going to take these sleeves that go in here and transfer the positions through here, some spot transfer spots that I could pick up with a small drill and then eventually get to the size I need to. I'm drilling these holes all the way through, but I can't get a transfer punch in there. So I'm going to use some transfer screws. After I drill and tap these, screw them in there, lower this onto here, and tap it down. All 4 screws should put the positions on here where I could pick them up. Let's go over to the mill now that this is on there. I'm going to put this kind of straight. And let me show you how I'm going to indicate this and clamp it so I can drill and tap. Let's go over to the mill. I have the mill partially set up. I have my blocks all picked out, my clamps, and I have a place that I want to put this. After I indicate this in, the next thing is to lock this down. I don't need to clamp it real tight, just tight enough so when I'm drilling those little 1032 holes, they're number 21 drill, 159,000. Then I move off and indicate this in. After it's clamped straight with the ways, after indicating this block. I keep saying that, but it's very important that I indicate this in, lock it down, and then indicate that diameter. I'm not too sure how round this thing is, but I'll average it out so it is equal as it has to be to work. All right. What I need to do next is figure out where them holes are going to be. I decided from measuring things up, just with a scale and some calipers, that I want the holes to be on a 3.5-inch bolt circle. That's about an 89 millimeter bolt circle. Just 4 holes. It's easy enough to do the trig using for 45 degrees to figure out where all those holes go. I just need to do one trig problem and all the other holes will be the same. I move up so far, I move over so far. All the holes will be the same. Movements will be the same. But instead of doing the trig, being an old guy, when I was young, just about every company had some kind of slide calculator. I became a machine. I started machining in the late 60s. I got this slide calculator for bolt circles. This side is for odd number holes, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. This is for 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. What you do is, depending on how many holes you want, you bring the slide calculator. I don't know if you can see that little arrow. I brought it over to 4. And it shows a little picture of 4 holes on a bolt circle. They lettered them A, B, and C. We need the dimension for A and C, which are the same because we're working on a 45 degree. That number is 0.35355. And what it says here is to multiply that value by the bolt circle you're going to use, which is 3.5-inch bolt circle. Let's do that. 3.5 times 0.35355. That equals 1.2374. I'm going to bring it up to 237.5. Okay, that was easy enough. In the mill, I'll be right there on 0, 0. I'll move up 1.237. I don't think that mill can do half thousandths. I can try. And then I'll move over off the center line again, 1.2375. That's where I put my hole. Then I'll move back to 0, and then the other way, 1.2375. And I'll just do that, use that same number for all 4 holes. I mentioned that in the 40s, 50s, 60s, a lot of manufacturers made little slide rule things. I have some on the wall. Let's go over there and look at them. Right below my sticker board is the slide rules here. There's one from Gurney and Trecker, which is really old. See how close I can get. There, Gurney and Trecker, Milwaukee. This is a chip volume speed and feeds calculator. There's the how to use booklet right there that comes with it. I even got the envelope it came in. And then there's this one. And then I've got another one down here, speeds and feeds for milling. And then here's another time computer, how long it's going to take to machine something if you follow their instructions. I think those things are cool. You know, while I was showing you this here stuff, I started thinking about those hole transfer screws and doing this all twice, kind of putting the holes in the casting and then picking up the holes and drilling them through. I'm going to put those sleeves right on the casting, clamp those, and just drill through all of them into the casting. All of them will be finished. Well, not finished. I'll have to open those holes up a little bit. But now let's go over to the mill and I'll show you what I mean. So I need to really put these clamps on. All right, I'm going to have to adjust these. I think this is a little bit easier. Instead of having to do it twice, I'm just going to make it finger tight until I adjust this. And I'm sure everybody knows that the heel goes a little bit higher than the part you're trying to grab. So it pushes down on that part. I've seen people try to clamp it, and all you're doing is pushing your part away when you're trying to tighten it that way. Always make the heel higher than the part you're trying to clamp. Let's see. Okay, it's on 0. It's on 0 or pretty close to it. Okay, I'm going to take my rawhide hammer and just, I like to return it to, take it off 0 and bring it back. It's going away. That's not too bad. I think that's kind of good enough. A lot of times when you're tightening, trying to tighten it in place, it moves. So I might have to readjust it. Bring the indicator up to 0. Let's see what happens. That's pretty good. In about 2 inches to 3 inches. Let's see, the whole 3-inch block. If it moved a couple of tenths, I'll be surprised. Okay, I'm going to reset this indicator so that I can indicate the ID here. I have the indicator just above the part. I'm going to eyeball where center is. And then I'll lower it into my part. And it's about a 1/4 inch away. I'll try to set this on 0 again by hand. I like to put a load on it. This is a 30,000 movement. I like to put about a 15,000 load on there. That's 0, 0. I believe if I bring this to 0 clockwise, about 2 thousandths off. Set that at 0. It's 1,000th off. That's about as close as it's going to get. That's 0. 0, minus 5/10, minus plus 5/10. I could probably even that out. 0, 0. That's 0 and 0. Okay, set my 0. Get rid of the indicators. I'm going to mark this side A over here and mark this A. All right, I'm ready to drill. All right, I have my 21 drill in there, which is 159 thousandths. And my RPMs are set at 1100 RPMs. I'm not going to use a center drill. This is a split point, and for what it is, it'll be just fine. Okay, I'm on my centers. I'm going to move off, what did I say? 1.2375. I'll move off to a 1.237. This thing isn't going to work intense. Okay, it's 100 thousandths per revolution. 1, 2. It looks like it's right in the middle. It's where it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm going to drill all the way through. Let's do this. That felt like it went through. That looks right. I need to turn this over and do the exact same thing. Let's get this out of here. If I can find my wrench. Side B. It's all zeroed in within a half thousand, doesn't really matter, a couple of thousandths. I'm going to open up the holes I drilled on the sleeves, probably 5-10 thousandths. I'm going to probably use button head screws. There'll be a little bit of room to move it around. Although I don't think they're going to move. That's a nice snug fit. Wherever I drill those holes, they're going to be fine. All right, let's get that drill in there and finish this. All right, let's just get this over to the bench, clean it up, and tap those holes. Then I need to open these up. Cast iron is dirty. Okay. You know, with these being marked top, bottom, A, B, whatever, that hole could have been off an 1/8 inch anyway. It's still going to match the pattern here. That's why I decided to not only save time from using the hole transfer screws, because right now after drilling those holes I'd have to spot all these things, then drill them out on the drill press. It's like they're practically done. I just need to open them up. Let's see. I think this was a pretty good idea, putting the block on here. I probably could have just laid it on this boss, this up part here, and it probably would have been good. But I didn't want to do that. This is the race that the table sits on. I wanted it 90 degrees to that for some reason. But now, all I have to do really now is tap those. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to give this a quick chamfer by hand. I'm just breaking the edge, really. Got a single flute. See what angle is this? Really doesn't matter either. This is 90 degrees, which is proper. Now, If I had some oil, I'd tap these. All right. I don't care how many holes you tap by hand or with any method. The one thing that goes through your mind is, am I going to break it this time? I've had to remove a lot of broken taps in my time. Not only taps that I broke, but I've had parts come in from different customers going, could you help? This is a $15,000 part. And my employee decided to clean out the hole with a tap and broke it. I've also had parts. I used to run an EDM. Well, not only the machine, but the whole department. But we had what was called a hole popper. When you're threading a wire EDM, the wires anywhere from 4 thousandths to 20 thousandths. We used to use 10,000 diameter wire. And wire EDM could cut through super hard high Rockwell parts. 65 Rockwell, which is rock hard. And somebody forgot to thread the part before they heat treated it. Tried to thread it. But the hole popper was to put holes in hardened steel. And it also worked good for getting broken taps out of steel parts, aluminum parts, any kind of really metal part, anything that conducted electricity. And it was amazing. You have a little tube, 10 thousandths in diameter, and there was a hole through it where dielectric fluid would pass through. And it was like a coolant. It would flush tip. It would flush chips as the electrode, the little wire, would move up and down, and it would spin at the same time, and it would burn the broken taps right out. I did a lot of those. But most of the time, I had to just rely on small diameter 4-flute carbide. I used to save old carbide end mills, because if you had a broken tap, you don't really want to waste a carbide end mill on removing a tap. You already messed up and caused a lot of extra time on the job. Carbide will cut high-speed steel. There's not much left to the end mill afterwards, but it works. And if you had a real deep broken tap, you just use a couple of carbide end mills, and you can get the tap out. It wouldn't get the thread part out, but with some picks I have a lot of different picks just for that. You would remove the center with the carbide end mill, and then remove all the thread parts, because it would crack up. It really gets hot, and the broken tap starts to just break up into a lot of different pieces. So you were able to dig the broken tap out. I'm going to tap these other 3 holes. I'm going to mount the sleeves into the cast iron, into the body, and then we're going to try and slip it onto the column. But before I do that, I'm just going to put it on the bandsaw, and I'm just going to slice it through, just so I can see if it collapses and holds this thing. Okay, I'll bring you back in a minute. All right, that was a lot easier than spotting the holes, picking them up with a little drill, then drilling them through. It just seemed easier. These look decent. Let's find some screws and go over to the saw. Let's do that. That worked pretty good. Just need to clean it up with a file. That slot was a little bit more than 2 blade thicknesses, so I was able to cut on both sides and open it up to the split that was in here. I need to hit it with a file on the inside, and then we'll put it on to the column and see if I could lock this in place. Let's do that. I really only need to hit the inside. I'm going to take this off again, of course, clean everything up. After I found the bolts for it, the 1032s, I tried to put them in there and they were way too snug. I had to open those holes up to a number 11 drill. It's 190 something. I'm not sure, I can't remember. Getting old. I can also, it looks like, cut that gear rack space out. I'm not ready to do that right now. I have to look at things. Not sure what. Let's get over to the column and see how this fits. I believe this is the way it goes on. I don't know if it really matters. But I know when I made these sleeves, it was hard to get past here. I had filed that down a little bit. It ain't moving. I know a lot of people ask me if that was aluminum or steel sleeves. It's not like it's going to run up and down constantly. You put it in one place and it's probably going to stay there for 6 months. I like it. I have to get different screws. That's just what I had around here. A few stainless socket head cap screws. I want to get some button heads. All right, I think that worked. Let's go back to the table. I think that was a good day's work. I still have to clean this up, buff it up, the lock handle. I need to wire brush this whole thing and paint it. But that worked out pretty good. I think that was a good day's work. Satisfying when things work out. I like it. All right. I think with that, this video is going to come to an end. So I'm going to have to say, until next time, enjoy.